The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
I think I've always believed in the paranormal, but the deeper I get in this field, the more questions I uncover. I started a program called Seeking the Paranormal in an effort to gain insight and dialogue from others interested in the same things as me. And while we've learned a lot together, the questions still remain. So I'm bringing my thoughts to the airwaves, and I've brought along my friends, Adam and John, to share in the fun. Together, we'll tackle the tough topics and debate the evidence as we continue to seek the paranormal. Thank you for joining us again tonight. This is going to be our 6th episode already of Seeking the Paranormal.
Half dozen.
Yay.
Might be our last. You never know.
We should get something for our 6th. It's like an anniversary or something.
Yeah, somebody needs to buy us a bottle of champagne.
Or Captain for as much as you guys go through.
Yeah.
I'll buy. Next bottle's on me.
Tonight we are going to talk about the paranormal community. And I'm going to put a little warning out there. Y'all know, if you've listened this far, that we kind of tell it how we feel it. And we don't hold much back. And tonight is going to be no exception. And I don't think we're trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but until we start getting better as a community, this field is not going to be taken seriously. And that the blame on that lies in a couple different places, but we really need to stop being so naive, stop giving people attention for nonsense. So it might be a little rough tonight, but stick with us. It's all coming from a good place. And we really just want to better the community. Gentlemen?
Yep. That pretty much sums it up.
Do you want to pipe in anywhere?
I am... Well, I slow down when I'm editing, in my mind. I'm self-censoring, self-editing. So I gotta bring it to... I guess my issue is... And I've stopped doing it as much, but... When I joined a lot of paranormal groups on Facebook when we first started, just saying, okay... And in a naive attempt to see, okay, what are people talking about out there? And it just scared the bejesus out of me when I was looking at it. I'm like, my God, I'm in kindergarten. You know, and once again, I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings, but, you know, I guess I'm coming at it from one side, a lot of people coming at it from another. Maybe that's, for me, it's a culture shock issue, but I see very little science discussion or anything like that.
Or even reality.
Yeah, well... You know, and that's it. So I just see stories that are absolutely ludicrous being backed up by someone else that gets backed up by someone else. And then at the end you get words like expert in the paranormal, no such thing. These things are all true, and they will say, you know, they've got it all mapped out how it all is without one little shred of evidence, just like a shaky photo with a bit of dust in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, I would say that one of the biggest things that I see out there when I look on some of these groups is everybody's got to be too nice. Like that's, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say certain things aren't real, but everybody's always, oh, that's great, you know, that's whatever, it's the best picture I've ever seen, and
great catch.
Well, yeah, exactly, stuff like that we can't.
Always great catch.
Yeah, we can't just be honest and say, have you looked at this, or did you think about this, or...
Well, and John and I I think have both mutually, independently started doing that. In return, John's been kicked out of several of the groups he was on.
Go, John!
He has suggested that what they're looking at is not paranormal. I have started putting the definition of pareidolia all over the place. I'm shocked I haven't been kicked out of groups yet. But I've not.
The thing I always get is, which is, I mean, it's fine, it's their group, their rules, but they're like, well, if you haven't got anything positive to say, just scroll on, don't say anything.
Why is truth negative?
Exactly. And if it's supposed to be a group that discusses the paranormal, not just some, ego rub your back, I call dust on a camera, and I'm very insecure. Can you help me?
Right.
You know, that's to me. That's not the same
like
thing.
To me, lying to you to make you feel better is what's negative, not positive. There's no positivity in that, except that I just made you look like a bigger dumbass than you already maybe were.
No,
because now you're going to take that outside the group and run with it because people in the group told you, oh yeah, I see. In fact, today, so here's my thinking, which is clearly incorrect, but I follow a lot of groups in England thinking that they've got older shit there, so they've had longer to work on this, so maybe they'd be smarter than us Americans. Incorrect.
Yeah. That's not true.
One of them I saw today was a picture a lady had taken of the side and kind of side back corner of her house, apparently last night, and was insistent that she had caught her old dead neighbor on top of her roof. She took a picture during the day. What I was looking at was very clearly her chimney, and several other people pointed it out, and I think what she was initially looking at, she realized was her chimney, but then she changed her focus and said, no, that's not the right place. But there's still so many people who are like, oh yeah, I see this here, I see faces, I see what you're looking at, and there's nothing there. In fact, I asked her, I said, can you please circle what you're looking at, because I don't see anything.
What would he be doing on the roof?
Right? Peeping, I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you were just up on your roof taking a random photo?
No, she was on the ground.
Oh.
She said the ghost was on the
The
roof.
ghost was on the roof.
But
why?
That would be my next question. Like, what made you take a picture of your roof?
What I think she was first looking at was the chimney, because it's very because it's taken at night and it's in grayscale, and the chimney looks kind of foggy-ish, because it's far enough away. It looks misty almost. I think that's what she was initially looking at, and enough people pointed out that's your chimney that I think she's now changed her focus instead of just saying, thank you, you're right. But then I see all these people, like the one I showed Adam, was that last week, that couple standing in front of the tree on their wedding day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, oh my god, there's so many faces everywhere. And there's all kinds of faces in the tree, and people are circling places in the tree and posting it. And I suggested again, pareidolia, because everybody's going nuts with all these faces in the foliage and in the trunk of the tree and in the bushes. People, that is nothing.
But every tree grows perfectly straight up and has no weird markings in the bark.
When did we start? Like, where did that start? That people started just being convinced that there is...
It's always been around. I mean, a lot of folklore and stuff like that is born of that kind of thing. The old man in the woods.
Well, I suppose the main
tree sprites, tree nymphs.
Right.
And the other way that started was because everybody is too damn sensitive. Everybody's afraid of hurting somebody else's feelings.
Well, and I've
participation
said it before,
trophies.
We all want...
Let's not get political here now.
Right.
I'm not, I'm just saying.
We all want to be the one to get the picture of the ghost. I think everybody gets so excited about doing that, and then you add into the nice folks who just want to make you feel good about whatever you took, and it's just a sloppy mess, and then we wonder why we're not taken seriously.
I think, one of the things is, I may have mentioned it before, but, if you actually go ghost hunting, you have a lot of money and time invested in it. And it's going to be very hard for people to come back, and we've done it, trust me. I mean, and we did it like 3 times in a row once where there's nothing. So... because you're so invested in it, and because other groups have been there and gotten this stuff, you're like, oh, everybody else got stuff, why didn't I? I must just not be looking hard enough.
Yeah.
And then you start looking way too hard and picking out all kinds of snot. And you're like, well, we're in Edinburgh, look at that thing there, that must be a ghost because we're in Edinburgh. No, that's not how it works. So,
No.
I just, what really... and if people want to do that, that's fine. And, I'm going to continue to suggest pareidolia where I see it. Clearly, John and I are not in the same groups, because I haven't been kicked out yet. But the fact that John is being kicked out...
Till tomorrow.
Right. The fact that John is being kicked out of groups for not just going with it and for suggesting something else...
I wasn't even being rude.
Right. concerns me. Like, that's a problem.
One I was rude. Because somebody came out with such nonsense about blah blah, shadow people, like they knew it all, and it's a 7th level demon, and if you do that, then your eyes are going to fall out. It was just some nonsense like that. And my comment under that was, is it make your own shit update today? And I got booted.
I can't imagine why.
Huh, well,
So, but I mean, just to go into this group, because there are, let's just say, people susceptible to that, or it adds slurry to the whole conversation, and someone will start picking that out and saying, oh no, I read somewhere that this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, where's that all coming from?
And I can totally get behind, and I can totally understand, because I think at the beginning of our life investigating, like, there was a lot of things that we thought might be real and, you know, could be a real thing. And then as you experience different things, and as you learn new things and talk to other people who are honest with you and tell you different ways of looking at it, you start to realize what might be true and what might not be true. So I'm totally fine with people posting a picture and saying, hey, what do you think of that? But the flip side of that is, the minute somebody says, well, that's dust, or that's a mosquito, or whatever, then it's all hell breaks loose, and you just hurt my feelings, and I broke a toenail. I mean, it's...
Well, don't post it then.
Well, that's exactly it.
I mean, if you put it in the public domain,
yes,
that's exactly where it's at now.
Right.
It's in the public domain.
And, you know, we're part of the same community, so imagine what somebody outside the community is going to say to you.
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
You need to be on medication.
Correct.
Probably.
I don't want to post anything out
Lots of
there
it.
that, A, I don't think is legit, and B, if I have someone say, hey, did you look at it this way? I want to be able to give them a clear answer as to, yeah, I did look at it that way, but this is what I found. Or, you know, whatever. And that way, it's a legit piece of evidence of something paranormal.
I guess my rule of thumb is, if I'm not sure, or if I've got to do mental gymnastics to get a logical answer to something I've got, I'll put it out there. And if anybody watches any of our videos, a lot of things you'll see me say at the end of it is, make of it what you will. Because basically you're just taking the data, putting it out there as a data point. Now, you know, if we can join up the dots, or if someone comes back and says, I don't mind if people debunk whatever I put out there, I'll be like, oh, yep, you're right. And we've done it a couple ourselves. Like at the Farrar, first time we went there, we were hearing stuff in the boiler room. There's a couple there that I'm still not certain what we found out what it was, but the second time we went there, we were hearing the same thing, getting all excited, and then you heard a raccoon.
Yeah.
So we then said, hey, that stuff in the boiler room, it was a raccoon. You know, we're not going to make that raccoon go away. So, and we're not going to keep that evidence as...
Right. Well, and that brings up a good point, too, because it's not just visual stuff. Ghost Adventures is notorious for doing these Class G EVPs. That's how bad they are.
Class
G for
G.
garbage. That is somebody's thumb running over the speaker, but they put a word on the screen, so then you've got audio pareidolia, and then you're like, oh yeah, that is exactly what it sounds like. But then everybody starts doing that. Like, in my opinion, if it's not a Class A or B, and A means that it's perfect, everybody who listens to it hears it and agrees on what it says. Class B is everybody hears it, just maybe doesn't agree on what it's saying. If it's not one of those two, it's probably not worth posting.
And you get a lot of... I mean, we post a lot fewer than we get, just because we're like, it's kind of a reach. You know, there's a sound there, but, okay, we can't explain it, and if you really scrunch your ears up, you could probably make a word out of it. You know, so we post... The only time I really do the text on the videos is when... Because we go through it, it's hard, and that's usually the radio, the spirit box.
Yeah.
Because those are hard to hear. Those come out you thick and fast. So
well,
we have
you
to
have
listen
to
2 or 3 times.
Too,
yeah. So then we'll put it on the screen when it comes up, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, I like I say, everybody's so invested in it. Mm-hmm. When they go looking, they've got to come away with something, even if it's crud. And then they've got to put it out there because of the pressures of social media.
The other problem with EVPs is that a lot of the times they're really hard to hear without headphones. And so those can be really hard to share. Like, we go to these expos all the time, and And I would love to share EVPs with people, but number one, I don't want randos putting on my headphones. And number two, you like clog everything up if everybody has to listen with headphones. But it's so hard to get a really good EVP. Now, I've got some, but very limited compared to the amount I have that you don't need, or that you have to have earphones for. They're just so hard to hear a lot of times without them.
Well, I mean, you can go in and put them in, like an audio filtering program and boost them, but it kind of...
That's what I was going to say.
They've been edited, so they're less believable.
Exactly. And so, see Paranormal, when we do our audio, we don't do anything to it. We don't amplify it. We don't do anything to it in any way because it devalues it.
Yeah. I've done it a couple of times, just because.
Well, for sharing purposes is one thing versus...
Plus, what you hear is in context of where we're at or what we
right.
said. So, I've done it. But, I don't... A lot of people, they'll put the voice filters on and everything else. And I'm like...
Slow it down or reverse it. I've never understood the reverse thing.
Well, no.
But I think...
Why would they speak into you backwards?
Yeah, exactly.
They're on a Stones album.
You can make any sound like a word if you're willing to manipulate it in all those different directions. Absolutely. You can.
I mean, we've got our work cut out enough for us. I don't need to make it harder by doing a bunch of shit to my...
Yep.
That's exactly, yeah. And then they'll be like, oh my god, did you hear it? They told us to get out or they're going to kill us.
Right. It was the devil himself.
And I don't mean to talk shit about people because there have been some really good pieces of evidence that have been put out in groups. What I'm asking is for people to get a little bit more, I guess, choosy about what they're posting.
My feeling is, unhook your belief system. Go in there, take away the belief system, take away all this, ghosts are, and then fill in the blanks. And they do fill in the blanks, whatever your belief system is. Because, and I was thinking about this earlier as I just had a smoke break. But I mean, here's the thing. So, now, if you think about it, ghosts are not an occurrence that happens a lot. Because if they were, we would have had much more chance to get much better scientific proof, or any kind of proof, not squirrely photos, not weird EVPs that you can just understand. So that funnels it down to, okay, if there are ghosts, okay, we go to the places where we think they are, but even then they're not a common occurrence. They can't be. Because, once again, you'd have a scientist go there, he'd find them, he'd measure them, so narrow it down a bit further. And when you narrow that down that far, and you see how much stuff is coming out of some of these places, you're like, no way in the world, can it be? But you talk to these people, so they have a belief system. Some people say, oh, I've dealt with ghosts all the time. Well, no, chances are you haven't.
Right.
Because if you had, call a scientific kind of investigation up and say, okay, you stand in the corner talking to me right now, and we'll, let them measure it, let them do, whatever it is they need to do, because what you'll find is, no, they are not a common occurrence. If they were, we'd have a lot more evidence.
Yeah.
So,
I think things can be haunted all the time, but just because you take a picture in a haunted house doesn't mean you're going to capture a ghost. One thing I was thinking when you were talking about the pictures, so Rosemary Ellen Guiley, who unfortunately passed away recently, wrote a book on jinn. It's DJINN if you're unfamiliar, and basically they're kind of an evil spirit with ill intentions by her research. I remember reading that book and then got on a group. You know how Google used to have, you could do almost like a Facebook for Google where you had your own Google page and you could post your own stuff. And so I would follow paranormal people on that. And there was one girl who I found her because somehow I Googled something about jinn and hers came up or whatever. She would take pictures in her house every day, like tons of pictures, and circle things, and everything was a jinn. Like, you give people just the slightest suggestion and they go berserk sometimes. I mean, there was a blue hue that came through with the sunlight through her window. So of course the sun was coming through a gin, and her house is just full of all of this evilness, and it's just insanity. I'm sorry, it is.
And once again, think about that, because really a jinn is just an evil spirit. Jinn is what the Middle East, Arabia, gave a name to it.
Yeah.
Like they thought a dust storm or was a jinn.
Which is not the same as a demon either.
No, but that's where we get genie from, because somebody put it in that bottle for a reason.
Yeah.
We now join our program already in progress.
Tell us about the greatest orb photo of all time.
Well, I'm not going to say it's of all time, but it's definitely one. It definitely ranks up in the top, probably 3 or 4 that I've ever seen. And that was at a particular location. I won't name the location, but they have a book that lists photos and evidence that a particular team, that I'm not sure I even know who they are, took of the building. And one of the photos shows a lady sitting in a chair and 2 glowing balls next to each side of her face, one on each side. And it says, "Look at the orbs."
Circled. They're circled.
Yeah, they are circled.
They're always circled.
Both on the side of her face. She has diamond earrings in. I do not know why. Nobody has ever said, "Are you serious?" And if anybody has, why they haven't taken that photo out of their portfolio thing. But
because they're invested.
But we've investigated there, and we didn't do it either.
I know, and we should have. And looking back now, I think we still should. I mean, I when I look back now, I think I'm at the point where we've been doing this long enough that we should be able to say that. And honestly, I mean, if they want to get offended by it, I guess it is what it is. I don't really care.
I'm going to the Mason Inn next week.
Okay.
Not this week. So those people are really invested in that place with all kinds of a belief system going.
300 and some spirits that they feel they have accounted for there.
How do you count them? It's like...
They line them up in a row. Count off. 1, 2, 3.
No, don't be that way.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
That's the only way I can think of it.
And here's the thing that kills me, because the couple that owns that place are so adorable. They really are. And they are so, they are 100% in on everything that they believe about that place. But they believe they have 300 and some spirits accounted for there.
Well, if we catch just one, I'll be happy.
I went to, my history is about the time that Ghost Hunters, the show, started. My community college here in Cedar Rapids offered continuing education classes on the paranormal. And I took those. And my instructor at the time had been to the Mason House several times, was very involved with it, and talked about all the spirits they had. And I remember very clearly, because in this class we talked about orbs, and I think if I look in my file cabinet, I probably have my paperwork from that class telling me what the different colors of orbs mean.
I do remember you bringing that home.
This is where my education started, and thankfully I've continued enough on my own to move past that. But she talks about them going out onto the yard and playing music, and through the camera lens they can see all these orbs dancing in the night, and they were having a big party. And this is where I think that number comes from.
They counted dust?
Yeah.
Whoa.
That took a while.
I was going to say. And some pretty good medication, I'm guessing.
I bet.
So
I'll be really curious to see what kind of tour they give you, what kind of information they give you.
Well, she didn't seem too keen to talk to her on the phone. I don't know if she's had enough doing it, or if she's wary of the type of people that come because she doesn't know us.
That could be.
But she wasn't, when you make contact with people and they're, oh yeah, glad to have you, and she was kind of wary of the whole conversation.
Well, and they're older, and I mean, it is for sale, so they may be getting to the point where they've had enough. Yeah.
But
have you asked them about the ghost box?
No, I'll wait till we're there. I mean, I'll take it. I mean, they can't follow us around all the time. When's this coming out? It'll be done by then. So
you just dated us.
Yeah. Actually, what I'd like to go back is your Kirkwood thing. So
yeah,
here's another kind of beef I have, and I've seen some of these courses in paranormal investigation. And, you know, a lot of them I've looked at, they'll tell you all about shadow beings and all these things, and none of which are proven. You know, I've got an open mind. I don't sound like it. I sound like a total skeptic and critic. But you've got to be objective. So, you know, they'll tell you all about these things, and basically you're taking a modern folklore course. What they should be doing, and what I'd love to do, is say, okay...
We're going to at the Granger House.
Yes, is, okay, now, forget everything you think you know, because you don't know it.
Yeah.
Now, what we can teach you is, these are the tools ghost hunters use, this is why we use them, these are the theories behind why they should work, and also debunk. How to debunk everything you find, because you're going to have to try and do it. If you don't try and do it, you're not really doing investigation, you're just having a good time, which is fine too, just don't call yourself an investigator.
Now, I don't have a problem with, for example, by the time this comes out, I will have already done it, but Mike Ricksecker, who is an author and the, I guess, owner of Haunted Road Media, is going to join me via Skype at the Granger House to talk about his theory on shadow people. Now, that I don't have a problem with, because he presents it as my theory of.
Yeah. And that's fine. And once again, you give theories of, okay, I've kind of started to change my opinion a little, because when I first started this, I was, okay, there must be something in it, because, I mean, I know enough rational people that have got a ghost story where they saw a ghost or they saw something. I'm like, you know, it's kind of like UFOs. There's too many rational people saying that they saw it. So I got into it. My problem now is, on Facebook and that, there are so many not rational people saying ghost stories. It's starting to push me kind of out of the open-mindedness of it, and I'm starting to go, well, come on, you know.
But it can do that. It
I
can
know.
close you down.
And that's the thing that I, you know, one of the reasons we're having this conversation is some people are sitting on the fence if they try and get into it and then get inundated with this manure.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, no way, this is a bunch of, you know, New Age mystics. No, I don't want anything to do with it.
I think my advice for you as far as that goes is, because we experience that when we go to some expos, we have some people, you know, come up and show us some stuff that I'm just like, I just shake my head. And I guess... And
we're always nice, though.
I am always nice. And I don't, you know, I have that...
Because you don't want to ruin the experience.
Right. I have that moral dilemma about, do I want to be honest or do I not want to be honest? And generally, honestly, I'm not honest. I mean, I tell them, oh, yeah, it's a photo. I mean, you know...
You not go, oh, that's neat.
Or, you know, whatever we say. I mean, but I'm just saying, like... But... You have to be able to, I guess, understand that not everybody's going about it with the same.
No, I understand.
The same purpose.
On the other hand, at these expos, I can think of 2 times we have seen pictures that I have no explanation for whatsoever. Last expo we did,
yes,
I've never seen anything like this, and I had given the guy my card and asking him if I could share hhis picture with the show, and I have not heard back from him yet. So. Unfortunately, I think
he's gone missing. The picture was too good.
Right. Well, it's the family has a brand new house, a brand new built house, and they are changing something about this wall. He was telling me, and I didn't get it, but it's fine. So that's why they were taking pictures of the wall in their basement. And in the corner of the picture is the stairs coming down from the main floor. Took 3 pictures. First 2 pictures normal. Third picture, there is an old style gurney from probably turn of the 20th century. Details like you wouldn't believe, very like misty looking. It's even with the stairs, but it's floating down them, and it was amazing. Mm-hmm. But then that brings, you know, and this is a whole other discussion for another day, but how is an inanimate object coming through that way? Because we always talk about ghosts being spirits of something. Gurney didn't have.
There's some good theories on that that are actual scientific, you know, where I'm coming from. And getting back to, you know, it's not putting me off because I have my own experiences, because I go ghost hunting, and I know I'm like, whoa, there's an anomaly, you know, whether I caught it or not, it's the personal experiences.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you know.
We now join our program already in progress.
So the fun part about doing a pre-recorded show is that you can edit stuff And the not so fun part is that sometimes your microphones quit working and you don't pay attention and you don't see it. So,
but if it was live, we wouldn't know.
right. And then everybody would be listening to awful static. So.
All 3 listeners would have just shut us off.
No, not the one.
There's one that would have kept listening?
One of them's deaf. He wouldn't have known.
Well, thank you to our deaf listeners.
Right. Is there do we have a teletype person typing it in?
He just likes watching the lines we go on the screen.
All right. So,
He thinks it is.
unfortunately, we had a really good conversation and lost it. I don't know if we had talked yet about the class that I took at Kirkwood on paranormal. I just found my notes, and so I was going through it. Now, this is from 2012. So, maybe we were still all buying into orbs, but it's background physics of the paranormal. Orb colors have special meaning, and the answer was true.
How is that physics?
I'm just telling you what was
Because
given to me.
Because there's photons of light in there somewhere, so it must be physics.
Exactly.
No, and I don't know if we cover this, but like I said, I'd like to see a proper investigation class for people that...
Well, and that's kind of why I started Seeking the Paranormal. So this started out as a program that I was doing at the Granger House every month, and I talked about paranormal topics. I don't try to teach people necessarily how to investigate. I've given them how we investigate, and I want people to build on that. And like I've said before, as an investigator, I really want to stop doing just things that I've seen on TV, and I want to put fresh thought into the way I approach things, and so far I haven't to a point to make me happy. So I want people to do better than I'm doing. But I really, when it started, I talked about, here's how we do our investigations, build on that for your own. And I realized that a lot of people who were coming to hear me talk were relatively new to the field, which is kind of why I wanted to do the podcast, because I always wanted people who were really in the field to come so we could have group discussions, and it's hard to get them to come to that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that people and I know some people who are in the field listen to us, so hopefully that will spark some more conversation. If not, at least the 3 of us are having a good conversation.
It's my therapy session.
It is. But we talked about some paranormal topics that I hope that we'll be able to discuss during the show as well. We talked about, I gave everybody my opinion on orbs, same as I've given here. It's nothing. I mean, it's not.
Well, it's something, it's just not paranormal.
Right, exactly. So, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, we just got to get better.
Well, here's the thing. What I'm getting kind of tired of, if you look, I don't watch other people's ghost hunting videos. I used to, and I quit doing it, which is a terrible thing to admit when you're in that field, because you might learn from them. But the problem is, there are lots out there, which is good, but they all have, I see patterns, and they're all the same to me. It's, ghosts of children, gotta be children in there. All the trigger objects of the children, a lot of them. There's the growling demon, there's the 3 scratches. And also, what's really annoying on a lot of them, if you look at them, they all dress the same. It's like, you got the beardy one with the cap on backwards. It's...
That's Adam.
No, but I mean, and I'm not poking fun, I'm just saying...
Well, it is funny because, paranormal groups do tend to have black shirts. We're all running around. Yeah.
But I mean...
There's a group that's actually called...
They do look the same.
Something like generic black t-shirt group or something like that, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, but are they pushing the field, or are they making the same generic black t-shirt video?
I don't know. I just thought the name was funny. I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess, that simple thing probably speaks volumes to this field.
That people are just poking fun of themselves, saying, look, we're just like everyone else.
Well, but we're
scary.
all doing the same thing. And I say all, and I don't mean all, I mean a lot. But, we're all wearing black shirts.
Well,
we're all doing the same things. We all, fall into the same thought processes.
And the problem is now with the reality shows, which we covered last time, though, is that they have to go one step further. The sad thing is they're not going one step further and saying, hey, we've got some scientific experiments, here's the theory we're after this week, like a Science Channel would. No, they're going, let's provoke a demon!
Yeah.
You know, because it's drama and it's entertainment, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, I think I said last time, if people want to go out and have a good time, I'm all for it. But don't come at me with an opinion that is just based in, pop culture.
Right.
Because that's what... Now, oh, by the way, have you seen it now? Shadow people now wearing hats.
Yes.
Isn't that cool?
I just saw a study, or an article, because they're doing a study on this phenomenon of people around the world are now reporting shadow people with hats.
That's right. We don't want them without hats anymore because that's just old news.
It is.
We need new ones.
Yeah.
So, it's ludicrous, I think.
It's so funny. I do hope that now next week we're going to talk about like the ghost box and communications like that. But I do want to have it in an upcoming episode. And I say this, I feel like every week. We've got so much to talk about. But I do want to talk about these things. Shadow people with hats, Slender Man, black-eyed kids. These things that we make up on the internet and then everybody just jumps all over. And then we're creating them into something that we, like Santa Claus, that should just, it exists because people said so.
Santa Claus does exist.
Listen.
You never know, there might be kids listening. Go to bed.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Exactly. The Easter Bunny is real too.
You know the one that really scares me? The Tooth Fairy.
Yes, isn't that creepy when you really think about it?
Because when you really think about it, that's old voodoo magic. That's a part of a person. They've got control of you.
What do you think we need to do to be better as a community? But I think that answer's way too long.
Well, I'll be honest with you. There's nothing we can do. What I'm waiting for is for a show... Once this all runs out, all the Ghost Adventures and Zach Baggins buggering around doing nothing very loudly, once that all ends and people get tired of it, I'm hoping that the new twist on it to get viewers is for someone like the Science Channel to do, not a total skeptic, because those are boring, they just suck their life, they're boring to do. But I'd like to see someone like the Science Channel or somebody somewhere pick up a new series where they sit down and they do, kind of like Mythbusters used to do, sit down, let's do an experiment and then run it.
I feel like Fact or Faked kind of did.
I've never seen it.
You should look it up sometime. I think they
that's
definitely
too absolute, though.
But it got canceled.
Well,
because they were killing somebody's unicorns.
Well, no, because it's too absolute. I'd rather they went in and do it like we do. Sometimes find it and say, look, we found this, make of it what you will. Mm-hmm. Don't just kill it all and say, nope, didn't happen, no, there's no shadow figure.
And I think typically what they did was they took people's claims and tried to recreate them. For example, one that I really, really liked, and this was one that we need to spread far and wide. So this group went to a cemetery and took pictures and had those light streaks in their pictures and claimed that it was paranormal activity. And Fact or Faked went out to the same cemetery, used the same camera, and realized how they had...
Long shutter.
It wasn't real, basically.
The shutter was open too long.
Yeah, so
But that's 101.
That's why that was a good show.
That's why there should be good classes for paranormal investigation. That should be Investigation 101. That's just... If you're out at night, even if it's a digital camera, that aperture is open.
Yeah.
It should be 101 that, and when you're taking pictures at night, low light, even infrared, the aperture is open. So any light that goes by or any movement that you have and there's a light in camera, it's going to become misty, it's going to become a streak. This is all basic stuff.
And that comes down to people not knowing how to use the shit they're using.
That's why I think, the original question is, how does the community change? It's not going to be people like us just ranting on a podcast because, we're going to turn off people and they're going to go, what do you know?
Yeah.
There are roles. Well, these people don't know what they're talking about. It's going to be something hitting mainstream that's going to appeal to people in a way that says, okay, 101, they're not going to kill their dreams stone dead, but it's going to be mainstream enough where they'll make them think about it and slowly bring them over, you know, and say, look, you know, debunk some of this stuff and show them how to do it and show them, you know, this is what we got. We thought it was this, but then when we looked into it, it was that. But also show the stuff that you do catch, because you do catch some stuff. Mm-hmm. So you've got to play both ends of the game, you know, on a show, and not just it's a demon. You know, that's stupid, because you're going to bring people along with you, and everything's going to be a demon. What you've got to do is try and balance it, and I think Ghost Adventures, because they're idiots. Taps at the beginning, they used to do that more, but then they hit a wall where they had to get more and more drama in.
Everybody needs to go back and rewatch at least season 1. I don't know where you're going to find it for free, but I go back to the fact that Jason did not, he was hardcore about believing in stuff. Like, they'd come to him with what they deemed evidence, and he would be like, no, that's nothing, that's this, you know, and he was hardcore about it, and he didn't want to call anything haunted. And then that slowly changed, because I think the group was getting tired of it. Viewers were clearly getting tired of it.
No, but you don't have to make a definitive. That would be the good thing about shows like that. You don't have to have a definitive answer and tell the viewers it was haunted, it was not haunted. Yeah. That's like that fact or fiction thing. Yeah. To me, that's too extreme. What you should do is then have the evidence, sit down, discuss it, where people can see this discussion going on and the thought process behind it.
But I think
then say, make your own opinion up.
Yeah.
I think one of the other issues that we have, though, is I've had some people come and do investigations at the Granger house, and then they tell me, well, this little thing happened, like the piano played. 2 keys on the piano played. And they're like, so not really much. Well, I'm sorry.
That's huge.
That would be enough for me to get me excited.
That's a holy grail for me. It's like, I know no one was in there.
Exactly.
And I caught it on whatever.
Right. And then here's my problem with that. So then,
what are they looking for?
You're watching this TV show, and what you want is what Eric wants. Yeah. You want something to jump up, slap you in the face, drag you across the floor, and throw you out the front door.
With a wedgie.
Yes. And that is just not reality. No. It's not going to happen. But when they told me that, well, the piano played, I was like, that's awesome.
Did you catch it?
And then they're like, so it was pretty boring. I'm like,
that's worth a lot.
Okay, the Granger house is not for you. I mean, let's be honest. Like, this isn't I don't know what
there's people that want to go with us. I mean, you say, I go paranormal investigation, ghost hunting, and they're like, oh, I've always wanted to do that. And I know from the people that say it, I'm looking at them and going, no, you don't. You do not have the patience. You can't sit still for more than about 3 minutes, because I know you. Mm-hmm. And if I take you on an investigation, what you don't understand is, really, you're sitting there all night with probably nothing, that's, and that's Eric's problem. He gets bored. Love him to death, and he's great, and he's fun to go hunting with. Except that he goes through times where he's just like, I'm bored of this, nothing happens.
I mean, the man heard disembodied footsteps.
Yeah, but he didn't believe it, at the time. So he's like, okay, and lay back down again. I'm like, no, really, we were all outside. Yeah.
I really would love to go back and have that same scenario happen and have him know that we were all outside and get his different reaction to that. Because I wonder if it would be any different.
He said if I'd really, and he was like, well, I didn't know if it was fireworks or one of you guys had come in and just didn't answer me. And I said, well, what would you do if that happened again and you knew we weren't there? He said, I would have run out.
Which would have been so much more fun.
I know.
That's funny.
So, I mean, but I guess the thing is, like I said earlier, we have our experiences. So, as skeptic as I may be and as much fun as I might suck out of a ghost hunt for a lot of people that just want everything to happen at the time, and I'm sitting there explaining again, no, it's this, no, it's that. It seems like I'm, trying to ruin their evening. But I'm not. I mean, the thing is, you can't, there are things that happen, but they're meaningless if you're going to mix it in with all the things that didn't happen, but we'd like to think they did happen.
Right.
And I wanted to say real quick, because you apologize a lot for sucking the fun out of it, but I think because...
I could be a lot worse.
Well, I know.
We know.
I don't know if we lost the part where we were talking about. So, like, see Paranormal, people have moved and lost interest, and so we're not all together anymore. So, really, we just all investigate with friends now. Still people from See Paranormal come and investigate with us, but we just add friends here and there. So, that's how we've gotten to investigate with you and your group a few times. And I think for most of the people in C that we're there not just for the fun part, so you should be asking us to rethink this. So, for example, I've got my tap light, which you have to hit or shake relatively hard to turn on. It came on, and Nico said a big June bug must have hit it. Well, that wasn't the case, because I went and checked. But I appreciated him suggesting that, because then you're not just taking it at face value. Then you're double checking things, and that. So I don't think you should apologize for that, because I think that we're there for the fun, but the fun part for us is actually looking for answers.
And that's, well, I mean, it's like we have fun when we go out.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been with us. We'll muck about and lark about.
Sure.
But when we're doing something, we're sitting down, or we're trying to catch something, or we're doing an experiment, we're dead serious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we drink, but we do not drink on an investigation.
Yeah.
So, so we're serious about what we do, but we still have a lot of fun. And when I say I could suck even more fun out of it, if I was going to be totally scientific and not the half scientific way I go about it is, and then I'd want to do double blind tests. Then I'd want to do, things going off that I know isn't real and see who believes they're real and things like that, which, there's tons of things you could do to try and prove what's going on, So I don't, but I do, at least the bit we do, try and keep it a little straight and narrow, So...
Yeah.
And I think it should be that way. And on the other hand, I mean, when you look back and you think about a lot of investigations that we've been on, when we are goofing off and not being serious,
stuff happens.
We catch stuff. Things happen, which is great. So,
which is why I, sometimes I'm okay if we just sit and bullshit for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm fine with that.
I mean, but you need to do both, I think, and I think we're learning to do that. But more and more.
Yeah, but I watch, like I say, when I did watch other groups do stuff, it's like, what are they doing? They're contaminating their evidence when they come up with evidence. They're doing all kinds of stuff that it's like you can't say that, and they always jump to ghosts first, not something else first. You cannot jump to ghosts first. You can say, okay, this is weird. What could it be? Ghost? No, don't start with ghosts.
And that was kind of
Ghost
my
is
hope
last.
with the flashlight tours, and why I like having what I would refer to as seasoned investigators lead those, because I do want to teach these people. So usually if you come to a flashlight tour, it's because you're not investigating currently. I want to teach those. I want them to still have fun, and maybe less scientific than we typically do. But I want to teach them the right and wrong things. If they get an orb, I want to get to a point where we can be comfortable and say, no, that's dust.
Yeah, but there's a conundrum there in that you have people, they sign up. I don't know, I've been on one, but I don't know, if you guys know everybody that turns up and buys tickets. So you've got strangers coming in, let's say, and some of them are going to have a very strong belief system. And they pay money and they want to have, an experience. If you start saying that, if you start attacking their belief system, that's...
Listen, that waiver says I cannot promise you're going to have
but what I'm trying to say is when I led that one, I was just there to help run the equipment, and, I got into some conversations, but I stepped back because that's not, for me, that's not the environment to teach people. If they're paying money to go, and maybe have an experience, they've got a strong belief system, that's not the place for me to challenge that. The place for that would be if you ran a class and saying, look, I'm going to educate you, so leave your beliefs outside the door. But a flashlight tool, and this is just my opinion,
which
what
will
I
be doing
picked
at
up.
the Granger House sometime.
Yes, we will. But
looking forward to it.
But in that environment where people pay money to come to the Granger House to have an experience, and they're carrying their belief system with them, I don't think
So
that's
do you
the
think I
environment.
should let them use the static meters?
Let them use what they want. Give your opinion of it. They're there to have...
See, that's my
But-
moral dilemma right now with those two pieces of equipment.
Right, but what's the difference of...
I wouldn't. There's enough other equipment. I mean, I wouldn't put janky equipment in their hands so that they get results and feel better. I'd put the normal equipment in their hands, and then when something goes off, or the K2 spikes a couple of times, and they come to a conclusion, it's not... I didn't feel on the flashlight tour as my place to challenge, because they're not thinking rationally about it. They have a belief system already in place. And if I tell them, well, it's a K2 meter, it's janky, it will go, it's not always janky, but it's extremely susceptible to stuff, but then all of a sudden I'm going to get they'll see it as a confrontation to their belief system, and that's not the place.
But what's the difference between telling them that the K2 meter could be a little janky, and I'm saying I don't do this. I'm kind of with you. They paid to be there, and if they want to buy into it, I guess I
This
can.
is probably why I don't run the
I know.
flashlight
It's
tours.
because and I've talked to John about this before we did it. Like I am in the same conundrum. Like, you paid money to be there. I've told you it's not going to be anything like you see on TV.
Yep.
That doesn't happen. It's not real. I want you to understand that. Something may happen. I can't guarantee something will happen. We'll do what we can. It's basically we'll do what we can. But is there a difference between letting them believe that the K2 went off and handing them something that might go off?
I can give you a really good analogy.
I'm just asking.
Because I got invited to like a Robbie Burns do, which is the Scottish thing. And this was about the time of Braveheart when it came out. So I guess the thing is, let's say I owned a movie theatre and they have the Scottish night and they put Braveheart on. So they all come in, they watch Braveheart. There is absolutely... I think about 10% of the film is historically accurate.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, it is. It's just all crud. So, here's the thing. Now, am I supposed to stand up in that movie theatre every 10 minutes that they paid to see the movie and say, that was inaccurate, by the way, and then sit down again? And then stand up and go, oh, that was inaccurate, by the way, and sit down.
If you've ever sat
gotta
and watched
make
a
up your
movie with
mind.
me that I've read the book first,
Yeah,
you're going to get that experience anyway.
But if I paid to see the movie, I'd kind of be miffed.
She's ruined
So-
some really good movies for me.
Well, it seems like I've just ruined Braveheart for you.
You
'cause it's-
have.
You did actually.
Yeah,
Thanks,
sorry, it was...
Dick.
Well, no tartan back then. No face paint. That was... Nope. And...
Indians use face paint. Face paint's been around for a long time.
It was Scotland, not Indians. Celts used to use face paint way back when, but the Scottish didn't.
Okay.
Tartans were 1700s. Oh, by the way, a British invention. The princess, the French princess, was like 12 years old at that time, so no.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah, no. Come on.
Yeah.
And he's Australian and he makes anti-British movies. Gallipoli, The Patriot, Braveheart.
That's funny.
Anyway, sorry.
No.
Edit point. No, I guess my analogy is, though, if people are paying there to go there and get entertainment, they are. They're not.
I
they're hoping to
don't
see a
want
ghost.
to be contributing to the gullibility and ignorance that we've already got.
Then I think I agree with John. We do the flashlight tours like we do them. If you ask me my opinion, I should just start. I'll give you my opinion. If you just say, oh, look, I'm going to just let you roll with it. But if we list another thing as a class,
That's
then
what I do.
That's
So
where we
then
can
you're
be
saying
more-
that the people who come to us in public and show us these pictures of nonsense, we're saying, oh yeah, that's cool. We should just keep doing that instead of offer a real.
Mm-mm.
No.
Because they didn't pay money to come see us. Like the people that come to the expos, they didn't pay money to come see us. They paid money to come to the expo to get a reading or get some stones or whatever they came for. They just happened, oh, here's a paranormal group. Let me show you this photo that I caught. They didn't pay money to come see me. They didn't pay money for me to give them an experience.
All right.
You're kind of selling the house and its environment. That's what I do.
Right.
All right.
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 on those entertainment tickets. You know, the flashlight tours, pay the money, the house. That's what you're after. If they come, I mean, honestly, if they came to me with pictures, I'd say I'm awfully sorry. I'd love to look at them, but I'm trying to run the flashlight tour at this moment.
Yeah.
I've had a few instances
Unless
of
they're
some
really
people,
in your face, and then I go, look, it's crap, get out.
I've had a few
It's
people
your 10
come
bucks.
to me after the flashlight tour was over and want to stick around and have a conversation. And I've tried to resign myself to the fact that if you ask, hey, what do you think of this? I'll give them my opinion. If you just like, hey, look what I caught, this is really cool, I generally just kind of let that go. And maybe I shouldn't, but again, like I said,
But
they
you're-
paid to be there, so...
Yeah, and you're not doing it as. Here's the thing: you have to kind of remove yourself. You're not doing it as a paranormal investigator. You're doing it as, you know, I don't know what you call it, the proprietor, you know, of the Granger House. They're
Right.
two separate entities.
Yes.
I mean, I do things in my business where personally I think you're too stupid to own a PC. I won't tell them that. You know, I would just say, okay, this is what you need to do and I'll tell them for like the 5th time in a row, and that's fine. But that's, you know, whereas me as a personal person, some of my friends, I have said, you're too stupid to have a computer. Send it back. You know, so you kind of separate yourself. Are you the corporate entity or the entity you're representing? If you are, then you are that entity.
Okay. I guess that's fair.
Now, I also want to follow that up with saying that people that do come to our flashlight tours, if you're listening to this, experiences do obviously happen there, or we wouldn't be doing them. So it's not. I don't want anybody coming to it thinking, well, I caught this photo, but he didn't really say anything, so he must just be blowing smoke up my butt. You know, I want people to, I guess.
No, because you're representing the Granger House, therefore you can't. I mean, to be honest, you can't say yay or nay from. You know, it's like you got to do that disclaimer where, in fact, we get one right in front of this that says, the views and opinions are not the views and opinions of blah, 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 blah. You know, basically that's what you're doing.
Which this show really needs that, because we're a little opinionated, I think.
I'm not a little opinionated. I've earned my opinion.
So, one thing that I hear a lot of people talking about lately is para-unity and wanting unity within the community. That rhyme.
Nice, you're a poet.
I was a poet and I didn't know it.
Correct. But I really think that we cannot have any form of that until being honest with people stops being considered negativity. To kind of come back around to where we kind of started.
That doesn't make sense either, though. Because if you have unity, you have no discussion.
Well, yes. I guess I really am disgusted with the fact that offering another opinion that's not paranormal has resulted in you being labeled
a bully,
hater, skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's skeptic's another word that I think it's for you. I think it's appropriate, but I think there's too many
skeptical.
There's too many people labeling themselves skeptic and not being. Like, I hear some people, oh yeah, I'm a skeptic, but then they're talking about orbs.
Yeah.
But
I believe in orbs.
Yeah. It's like, you know when someone says, I don't mean this to be hurtful, but, and you know damn well the next thing they say is gonna be hurtful.
Right. Because Sarah says,
I love you, but I hate your purse.
Yeah, I love you, but I hate your purse, as she says to one of her really good friends. It's like,
that's fair.
I did. I didn't like it.
I mean, it was funny. We'll give her that.
And I'm a handbag person. But I can't even entertain the thought of para-unity until it's okay for us to speak our opinion and it not be considered bullying. Now, if I go into a group and I start calling people names and start really laying into them and making fun of them, then yes, okay, you're right. Then I'm being a bully, then I'm being a troll. But in every group that you join on Facebook has the rules, and they're always super fucking long, and they're always no bullying. But I think exactly what you did is considered bullying because you took their dream away of this being a ghost.
No, I had a discussion.
I know you did, but that's how they're viewing
Well, apart
it.
from the one time.
Okay, one time you were a bully.
Yeah.
But
No, it wasn't. It was, is this make anything up day?
He wasn't a bully.
That was a valid point. I'm
He
sorry.
wasn't
It
a
was
bully.
just
He
a
was
made
just
up.
an asshole.
No, that was a made up story, and I just pointed it out.
But why is trying to make them be better considered negativity? Like, that's what pisses me off.
Well, it's not even make them better, because that's kind of condescending. What you're trying to do is educate them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, make them better.
Well, I know a lot of educated people that ain't better, but at least they know a bit about what they've been educated. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like, if I went through, I bet there's probably 2% of all of the things in any of these groups on Facebook that I would consider remotely interesting, and everything else is pareidolia, and they get so mad if you suggest that.
The problem is, it's Facebook, and that's why I've started to drop the groups, because it's not, well, I'm hoping, no, actually I pretty much know it is the way most of them are, but what I'd like to do is, I don't know, I mean, maybe we should, maybe we should think up a new label, I mean, and then take people to task that use that label. I mean, if you're going to be a paranormal investigator, don't use ghost hunter anymore. Say, I'm a paranormal investigator. Oh, you're a ghost hunter? No, I'm a paranormal investigator. I investigate.
I don't
And
even know what I am.
Well, and if anybody comes up and does the, demon, and we're paranormal investigators, take them to task, take them down, troll them, bully them, anything, get them kicked out of that label. But we've got to have a label where people that do it properly can recognize each other, because we can't recognize each other at the moment.
So I started a group a few years ago called Eastern Iowa Paranormal
Interest group.
Yes. And I really wanted it to be a place where people had legit conversations, and I'm kind of bummed because it's really turned into just me posting stuff, like events and stuff that are happening. But I would love, so anybody who's listening who's not part of that group, I really do want that to be a place where we can have conversations like this. Where I can post a picture and people will give me their honest opinion instead of going, oh yeah, I see 5 faces in the tree. That was my hope. It hasn't turned out that way. Not that I think it's a bad group, and I still do try to do things to help people on there, but I really do want it to be that way, because I want it to genuinely be a place for open communication.
Well, if that's not going to be it, maybe the Seeking the Paranormal Facebook page will be it, because we're being pretty honest on here about how we feel about things.
Yep. But, once again, don't want to suck all the fun out of it. So, don't, the knee-jerk reaction be, well, that's crap. Actually, look at the stuff. I mean, I do. And I try really hard to see what they're seeing. And sometimes I do, but, 99% of the time, I just get horribly disappointed.
Well, and I think even, like me asking that woman to circle what exactly it is she's looking at, I think she's probably going to take that negatively. And she's going to feel like I'm being mean to her. It is bullshit to me if you're going to put something on anywhere on the internet and then expect people not to give an opinion unless it's straight in line with yours.
Well, that's the thing. It's just, they want affirmation. And to be honest, once again, I'm going to sound snobby, condescending, and I don't mean to be. But when you see the pattern of the people that are posting this stuff, I've never seen anybody who is confident, doing well in life. You see what I'm trying to say. They're always somebody that is, probably has a confidence issue, isn't doing too good in life, and it's like, oh my god, it must be a ghost, and it's not, something's happening, and they're just emotional.
Yeah.
They're very emotional, and those are the people that I find are posting stuff like that a lot. And once again, I don't mean to attack these people, and in fact,
You're not.
people that are propping these people up are not doing them a service.
No, in fact, they're doing the exact opposite.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The people that are like, oh, good job. I mean, they're the ones keeping these people where they're at.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing.
You should say, it's not a ghost, sort yourself out.
Right.
I mean, but they're enabling them. I might do that as an experiment. I might post to a group, say, look, I'm a very nice person normally, but there's a ghost that comes to my room and makes me drink lots of Captain Morgan and Coke, and then I turn into a complete bastard, and I don't know what to do.
Oh my God, they're gonna say you're possessed.
I know.
By an alcoholic.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it won't be my fault. It's the ghost that's doing it.
Oh my God, please do. No, we're going to do this. Experiment. That's what we're all about, folks. Experimentation. And I'm sorry, we're going to take some people down with us on this one. But you need to do this.
No. For my people.
You need to do this.
I mean, I know it's going to. I don't need to do it because I know it will happen.
We're doing it, though.
I'll say, I'm normally, I'll make up a story, and, every time I'm there, I get this pressure on my I even know the verbiage. I get a pressure on my chest, I get dizzy, and I don't normally drink rum, but, I look around and half the bottle's gone, and I wake up next morning, and I've been, my wife says I was a totally different person. They will back me to the hill. I will have comment after comment. I'm serious. No, and you know it's true.
I do. But we're going to do it.
But that's enabling my alcoholism, if that's really what I was doing.
Exactly.
And I can't remember because I woke up and there was a half a bottle of Morgan. And so, and I feel it's disingenuous. I feel it's not helpful. And nobody is allowed to say, wait a minute, guys,
Well, but you know what? That also brings to light a whole nother point, because mental illness is a real thing.
Yeah.
And when people start to use the paranormal as an excuse for their mental illness, then they're not getting the help they truly do need.
That's correct.
And then we continue to feed into that, and we really can harm other people. We can cause terrible things to happen to them because we're letting them keep on with this fantasy instead of addressing the true issue, which is one of the reasons why we don't do residential investigations, because I think sometimes you run into people, unless we know the people, of course, but sometimes you run into people where there is a mental health issue or a substance abuse issue, and they want you to back up their belief that it's the spirit, when in fact it's not at all.
I'll do them, but I will debunk them. I won't prop them. And that's fine. I'll go in, I'll do it, I'll say, didn't find a thing. And here's the thing, what's nice is if they're there and they can, and there's nothing that paranormal investigators don't do. They'll go in and they'll go, ooh, and they'll wander around and wait for something to happen. No. If you get, okay, what actually happens in this place?
Yeah.
And let's look for that and see if it's actually true. And that would be nice. So, like at Edinburgh, we went and looked for what they called the Joker, and we've looked for, things, I know, but we've looked for things that were reported, so, and that's, if you go on a private hunt, they're usually pretty specific, and if they're not specific enough, then usually we don't do it. I just think my house is haunted. Why? Well, I don't know.
We did one for a couple that we did not know. Every other one we've known the homeowners personally, and it went from, I think my house is haunted, to my mother is possessed by a demon.
Can't help you, go see a priest.
I mean, that's kind of... And I did. I told him, I'm like, well, I guess you could try the holy water experiment, see what happens, but you're probably going to have to get with clergy on that. But at that point, I knew it was out of our...
Well, that and the fact that he told me that he always sits in this one particular spot in his house. Always feels super, super creepy. But that's where he sits to smoke weed, right underneath the big electrical box.
Yeah.
That's above his head. And I'm
He's
like...
got his own built-in God helmet.
You're smoking weed and you're sitting right next to an electrical box that's just putting off tons of EMF that can make you feel really creepy.
Was open. I mean, the way he was sitting, his back was to an open area, which... That alone can...
Well, yeah.
Who does that?
An open area.
I know I don't.
An open area to his basement.
Yeah.
So that's just a creepy feeling.
No, I don't. No.
You said no.
No.
Who sits with their back to an open area?
I don't know.
I don't feel vulnerable at all. Said Wild Bill Hickok.
Right. we've talked. I mean, short side of this long story is
Sort yourselves out.
yes, and quit just telling people what they want to hear. Let's all just start being honest for a change and not take it so fucking personally. Like, the difference between somebody being rude and being mean to you and somebody just offering a different opinion. And let's quit acting like a different opinion is a personal attack on you.
Here's the other thing. If you're going to say, give all these details, please have some proof or something. Don't just say, because I know, because I've dealt with it. That doesn't count. Anecdotes are not proof.
Correct.
So, if you're going to tell me a colour and all special, why? Where's it come from? Not folklore, not anecdote.
Amen. Alright, well, let's get to our picture of the week. I decided to use one that is pretty notorious. It's called the Backstreet or Backseat.
The Backstreet Boy.
It's the Backstreet Boy. So it is called the Backseat Ghost. So this picture was taken in 1959. Mrs. Mabel Chinnery took the photo of her husband. They were out at a cemetery visiting her mother's grave. She wanted to take a picture of her husband sitting in the front seat of the car. And when they got the film developed, they realized that there appears to be a second passenger in the vehicle sitting in the back seat. Mrs. Chenry went on to say that she believes that the back seat passenger is the spirit of her mother, whose grave they were visiting.
That's a guy.
I don't know what her mother looked like, but I think it's possible that I think it looks very masculine as well. Some people say that his eyes are glowing. I think it looks like a reflection off glasses.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like glasses to me.
But I am, is this too fantastical to be real?
That's a person sitting in the back of a car. That's all it is.
It's either that or it's a really great photo.
Or it's that.
I mean,
but here's the thing.
They did have the picture checked by a film specialist. It's not double exposure.
No, and you can see it's not.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the reason I think it's just a guy sitting in the back of the car and it's all a hoax is because if my wife was pointing a camera at me and I'm sitting in the driver's seat of the car, I probably wouldn't be sitting like that, half turned away from her and looking over my shoulder. I'd actually be turned towards the window, looking at the camera.
Yeah. Now,
to me.
The one thing that I will point out that I think is interesting is you can't see the back of the seat between him and whoever's in the back seat. Do you know what I mean? The top of the front seat.
You can't, no. But what does that mean, I guess? So the ghost
I think it's interesting.
Let me get close, hang on. My eyes ain't what they used to be. Well, here's the other thing. You want to do paranoia? Look, 2 eyes, nose, there's a little face right there. There you go. Oh, and then there's horns. See that? Bloody eyes, and there's horns. No, really, this is what people would see.
You're right. You're right.
Bloody eyes, there's a couple of horns.
See, now I see horns, and that's all I can see.
John's made it a demon.
Might be a dog. Looks like a dog. Look, big black nose, 2 dog ears. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
To me, it looks like a guy with a pair of glasses.
Just very stern.
And a necktie, or an open collar shirt, sitting in the back.
I will definitely say it looks like a person.
Adam,
you're right. It's either a hoax or an extremely good picture.
Well, and that's exactly. I mean, I don't think it's completely pareidolia.
No, that is someone sitting in the back.
Yeah, I think it's either one or the other. There's no.
But you can't do the horns and the glowy eyes, and
now all I can see is the dang horns.
See, that's where people are going to go. See, and that's how that works.
I never would have saw horns.
That's how that's how that works. But I think and the thing that makes me lean more towards hoax, like I say, is just the way the guy's sitting. His wife's taking a picture of him, and he's kind of like hunched over, looking over his shoulder, like, "Oh, what the bloody hell?"
But the other thing that makes you say hoax is
it's too good.
It's too good. Number one, and you didn't take the photo.
Yeah, we discussed that. It's but
exactly.
It's true.
Yeah. And I can 100% stand behind that. I mean, Because, yeah, absolutely. If I would have taken this photo, I'd be like, hey, look, this is great. And Sarah would have been like, wow, that's really cool. You know, she would believe me, more than likely.
It's questionable.
Whatever. But if I showed it to Joe Schmo down the street, he'd be like, yeah, you faked
Well,
that.
the next question is, honestly, you go to the cemetery, especially back in the day when developing photos wasn't cheap. You go to the cemetery to visit someone. Why would you take a picture of
She
someone
wanted
in
to
a
take
car?
a picture of her mother's grave, is what she said.
That's not the
Well,
thing
I
in the
know.
car.
I know. So basically the story is she took pictures of her mother's grave and then turned around, hollered to her husband, took a picture of him before getting back in the vehicle.
Right, because she only had one.
Yeah.
She only had one
Could be.
thing left on her camera, so she had to use it up.
Adam's giving her an excuse.
I'm giving her an excuse. I mean, that's just my thought process back then. You could take, 8 photos, whatever the case might be. She had taken 7. She needed to take one more. She went, hey, Bob. Took the photo, and there you go. You got a ghost in the back seat.
Could be.
Or another guy in the back seat who later robbed them and killed them.
In fact, the guy in the back seat is the real guy. It's the guy driving that's
Right.
the ghost.
Oh,
Because he'd been murdered half an hour before by the guy in the back seat.
they forgot that part.
Where
of
he
the
really
story.
is laying across the driver and passenger seat with his throat slashed. But here he is, sitting upright.
That's why the surprised
Yeah.
look.
And the guy in the back's like, oh hell, oh no. I just soiled myself. That's why he's sitting like that, so rigid. I soiled myself. Anyway,
Okay. On that note, the Morgan's about gone. I
It
think
is
that's
gone,
probably a good thing.
It's all gone.
arg.
We are going to leave you until next week. Our conclusion is then it's either a hoax or a very good picture.
Yeah. I mean, there is no in between on that one, I don't think. Do you?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I
But
agree
it
as
could
well.
be a sink. No.
All right. On that note, y'all take care. Have a great rest of your week and keep seeking out the paranormal.
Thank you for listening, and for all things Paranormal Buzz Radio related, check out our website at paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.